Lord looketh on the heart. I talk on the subject, don't judge a book by its cover. Turn to somebody and say, don't judge a book by its. Say it again, because I don't think y'all heard it. Y'all, don't judge a book by its cover.
That's a good one. I like it. That's a good one.
Everything started beautifully in the summer of 1978. Motown signed a band called Switch.
All right now.
Switch. Among the members were two young men from a family called the DeBarge family, Bobby and Tommy DeBarge. They clicked right away. In fact, there were songs that were immediate hits. One song was entitled, There'll Never Be. Trying to act too saved, you know what song I'm talking about. It soared into the national top 10. They followed up with additional hits. Another song called I'll Call Your Name.
All right.
Another song called Best Beat in Town. Another song called Love Over and Over Again. The group was self-contained, meaning that they played their own instruments. Everybody in the band knew how to play an instrument and sung vocals. Eventually, the DeBarge brothers left the band, which caused the group to decline and eventually disband. Then there was another DeBarge from Grand Rapids, Michigan, named Bobby DeBarge. He was the first in the family to succumb to drugs. In his case, it was heroin. He became addicted during the heyday of Switch, and years later, in 1988, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for drug trafficking, and he died of complications from an STD he contracted in prison. It is perhaps not surprising that he turned to drugs. His father, Robert DeBarge Sr., who was a white man, was notoriously for being domineer and physically abusive to his wife. And his wife's name was Erteline DeBarge, who was a black woman. Also, according to the DeBarge siblings, Robert Sr. sexually molested a lot of these children. And he died in 2009, no doubt, with a guilty conscience. In fact, Bunny DeBarge, one of the only female siblings, said bluntly, I don't hate my dad, but he has a way of blocking things out his mind. Bunny also encountered a drug habit, but she eventually was delivered from that and turned her life over to the Lord. A second group, DeBarge. The group that came from this family, they were simply called DeBarge, which included L. DeBarge, Bunny DeBarge, James DeBarge, Mark DeBarge, Randy DeBarge, and they became a success from 82 to 95. And their major hits were, y'all know it, Time Will Reveal, Rhythm of the Night, I Like It, All This Love, You Wear It Well, Love Me in a Special Way, Who's Holding Donna Now? But by 1986, El DeBarge, who sang lead as well as writing and producing the songs, was a successful solo artist in 2001. But in 2001, he was arrested for cocaine possession and received probation. He was given probation a second time in 2006 in essentially the same charge. He was arrested again in 2008 for possession of cocaine. He was sentenced to 2 years in state prison. And his mother said drugs just happened with L. And where L got into drugs, it just paralyzed him. This is what the mother said. He just couldn't deal with all the people in the music industry. He couldn't deal with their fakeness. He couldn't deal with people ripping him off. Motown had taken all of his publishing rights. And still today, they're making money off L. DeBarge hits. That was, in fact, he came out of prison, restarted his career, and created an album called Second Chance, and he did very well, was on the cover of Ebony magazine, but in 2010, he relapsed and went back to a rehab center, and now he's back again performing. Then there was another, James, married Janet Jackson in '84. But the marriage was annulled immediately. He too, James, landed in jail on drug charges. And then, according to that, in semi-solitary confinement. Wow. Then Chico DeBarge was not a member of Switch or DeBarge, started his career at 86, did a very good job. But then he himself was arrested for drug trafficking and received a 6-year prison sentence. And so as we look at this family, turn the lights back on, look at the family, you see that's Chico right there. That's Chico. They look like the perfect family. Success was all in their family. So from the outside, looked like everything was perfect in their life. But you never judge a book by its cover. You never know what's going on in people's lives. Irregardless of how they look on the outside, we don't know what's going on the inside. And this text about David and the selection of David was about judging a book by its cover. And as we look at the text, we see that before Samuel was sent to Jesse's house, that David had already been selected by God to be the next king. He was already, God had already decided that he was going to select him. He's already picked him. And so God did not trust man to pick a servant to do his assignment. Am I right about here today? Look at verse 1. It says, and the Lord said to Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil. Go, and I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. I've already selected David. Samuel didn't know who he selected, but God made it clear, you're not going down to select a king. I've selected the king. Am I right here today? I'm telling you who I select. I don't want you to go picking because you're going to look at the outside of people. I wish I had a way to say that. You're going to look at what they're doing now. You're going to look at what they got on now. You're going to look at how they look now. He said, I don't want you to be involved in selecting because you don't know what I got in mind for every person, because every person has been fearfully and uniquely and wonderfully made for for a purpose, and we don't know the purpose. And what we see now is a snapshot of the season they're currently in. We don't see their whole life. And just because if you saw me 20 years ago, you would have said, ain't nowhere in the world he would be a preacher. But baby, that was just a snapshot. Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, nor has it entered the hearts of men the good things that God got in store for me. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. I may not look like much, I may not even be much, but you don't know what God is getting ready to do. He's getting ready to change my life. He's getting ready to open doors that no man can close. Don't judge me yet. God is not finished with me yet. Samuel, I got a king at Jesse's house. Don't get caught up on who the king is. I wish I had a witness here today. Don't get caught on who wearing what they got on. Don't get caught up on who got an earring, who got tats on their face. Don't get caught up on none of that. Am I right about it? Don't get caught up on what kind of shoes somebody or how short somebody dresses. Don't get caught up on none of that. He said, because I don't need you to pick my king. I pick my own king. I just let you know who the king is. And that's what mess you up. You don't go picking your own husband. Let the Lord show you who your husband is, because you're looking at the outsider. He may be balling and shot calling now, but you don't know what he's going to be doing a year from now. Let the Lord show you who your wife is, who your husband is, who your friend is. You need to be on your knees and get off of eHarmony.
That's good preaching. That's good preaching. You preaching, Doc.
I'm in the house a little bit today.
You preaching, Doc. Yes, sir.
You don't spend most of your time checking the profiles. The picture is probably 10 years old anyway. They probably don't gain about 30 pounds. And when you finally meet them, you say, you don't look like the picture. Yeah. They put their cousin picture on there. Spend all your time getting on your knees.
There you go.
Seeing who the Lord has assigned for you. We get so busy trying to pick people to do stuff that we don't spend enough time in prayer, because you don't pick them, you let the Lord show them to you. Am I right? Am I right? Am I in the house? Let the Lord show you the right person to do something. You don't pick folks for the assignment. They may look like they can do a good job, and they'll come up and mess some stuff up. You ever seen somebody mess some stuff up and you didn't realize, you thought they knew what they were doing, but they really didn't? And just because somebody talk a good game, I'm gonna give you in the house. I just want y'all to sit down and listen to me for a minute. Just because somebody talk like they know what they doing, don't mean they really know what they're doing. Am I right? You need the Lord to show you, and you know what? God will give you the spirit of discernment when you start saying stuff that don't add up. Am I right about it? You can't let anybody fix your car, can't let nobody fix your house. They start talking stuff that don't make sense. God will show you he don't know what he doing, and he gonna take your money. Let the Lord lead you on all things. Because Samuel came there on his mind thinking he knew how the king was going to look. He said, well, God sent me to this house. I got an idea how the king going to look. In fact, Samuel said something very interesting. He said when he saw Eliab, he was impressed. He was impressed with Eliab. And that's my next point. People can fool you on the outside. People can fool you. You can be fooled. Look at verse 6. It says, and it came to pass when they were come that he looked, Samuel looked on Eliab. This Samuel now, Samuel looked on Eliab, Deacon Hughes. And when he looked on Eliab, Samuel said, surely, I wish I had a witness today. Surely the Lord has anointed him because he looked like a king. Y'all ain't saying that to me. But the Lord sent him a spiritual text message, told him, you're getting caught up on how he looked. I wish I had a witness. I'm about to pull up in your driveway. Ladies, he may look like your husband. He may be tall, dark, and handsome. But he ain't the one. He ain't the one. He ain't the one. She may be cute, nice figure. She ain't the one. She may be a brick house, but when you get her home, she'll tear up your house. Y'all remember that song, Brick House? Y'all remember that? She's a brick. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Well, you can have a brick. You keep the brick house. She might not know how to cook. She may nag you all night. The Bible says nothing worse than a nagging woman. I shouldn't have said that. I'm sorry. That is something worse than a nagging woman. A nagging man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.